Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna really do a deep dive into cancer research.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. And specifically,
Hmm.
we're looking at a drug called Gemtuzumab,
Okay.
and we're gonna see how it's changing the way we treat AML,
Oh, wow.
acute myeloid leukemia.
Yeah.
So we're basing this mostly on an article from Genie.
Mm-hmm.
They're experts in, bioregions and assays and all that.
Right.
The article is called Gemtuzumab, Advancing CD33-Targeted Therapies in AML Research.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good read. We're going to try and unpack how this drug, how it works,
Okay.
why it's such a big deal, and, what's next for it.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah.
Gemtuzumab is definitely a game changer, I think.
Is it?
It's like a huge step forward for targeted therapy.
So what is it about Gemtuzumab that makes it so groundbreaking?
Well, it's, one of the first of its kind.
Okay.
They call this type of drug an antibody-drug conjugate, or ADC.
ADC, okay.
Yeah, and ADCs, they basically combine the, the targeting ability of antibodies with that cell-killing power of chemotherapy.
So it's kind of like a smart bomb almost?
Yeah, exactly.
It goes right to the cancer cells and doesn't mess with the healthy ones as much?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And that's a huge advantage over traditional chemo, right?
Right.
Chemo can be really rough on the body.
Oh, for sure. So the article mentions CD33, this protein.
Right.
What is that all about?
So CD33 is a protein.
Okay.
It's found on myeloid cells,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the cells that turn cancerous in AML.
Gotcha.
So it's a good target
Makes sense.
because it's mostly on those bad cells.
So Gemtuzumab basically seeks out those CD33 proteins
Yeah.
and then delivers a knockout punch
Yeah, you got it.
right to those cancer cells.
Pretty much. So Gemtuzumab,
Okay.
it binds to the CD33,
Yeah.
and then it gets taken into the cell,
Mm-hmm.
and then it releases this cytotoxic agent. It's called Ozogamicin.
Cytotoxic agent. What's that?
It basically means it's toxic to cells.
Okay.
Ozogamicin, it causes breaks in the DNA of the cancer cells,
Gotcha.
which basically destroys them.
Wow. So all of this is happening on a microscopic level inside our bodies.
It is. It's really incredible.
That's wild.
It really shows how far we've come in medical science.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Gemtuzumab and the FDA, it's been kind of a roller coaster, hasn't it?
You're right. It was first approved back in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
but then in 2010, it was withdrawn.
Voluntarily, right?
Yeah, voluntarily.
Okay.
There were concerns about its safety and how well it worked.
Then it came back in 2017, so
Yep, it did.
what happened there?
More research, better understanding of how to use it,
Mm.
the comeback story,
It is inspiring, but do you think there were any missed opportunities during that withdrawal period?
It's possible.
Could it have come back sooner?
Maybe. It's
Yeah.
hard to say.
Yeah.
Drug development, complicated.
Right.
Safety and effectiveness, those are the top priorities.
Right. Makes sense. So how is Gemtuzumab being used today?
Well, it's used in a couple of ways.
Okay.
On its own and also with other chemo drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And the evidence is pretty strong.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, clinical trials show that adding Gemtuzumab to the standard chemo,
Yeah.
it really improves survival rates
Wow.
and remission outcomes, especially for patients with some, what they call favorable and intermediate cytogenetic risk profiles.
Cytogenetic risk profile. Sorry, what are those?
So that's about the chromosomes in the cancer cells.
Okay.
Some abnormalities mean a better or worse outcome.
Gotcha.
So knowing that helps doctors choose the right treatment.
So it's like personalized medicine, right?
Like that.
It's tailored to each patient.
Yep.
That's amazing. So Gemtuzumab is offering better chance of recovery and longer life for AML patients.
Absolutely.
That's great to hear.
And it's also used for older adults
Oh.
and patients who can't handle the really intensive chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helping a lot of people.
That's fantastic. Now, how accessible is Gemtuzumab?
Yeah.
The article mentioned biosimilars,
Right.
which are more affordable versions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Biosimilars, they're basically the same as the original drug,
Mm-hmm.
but they cost less,
Gotcha.
which is really important for making treatments accessible to everyone.
So it's a global health equity issue, too.
Definitely.
Wow. And Genie, they've actually developed a Gemtuzumab biosimilar, haven't they?
They have, yeah. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
It's for research right now,
Right.
but it could really speed up research and development of new CD33-targeted therapies.
So they're not only giving us information about this drug, they're actually helping make it more available.
Exactly.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, they're really contributing to the field.
They are. They're making a difference.
It's really great work they're doing.
For sure. So I want to hear more about how Gemtuzumab came to be.
Okay, sure.
Like, what were the major milestones in its development?
Well, it all goes back to the 1980s. That's when scientists found CD33.
Uh-huh.
They realized it was a potential target for AML treatment.
I see.
They saw that it was on lots of leukemia cells, but not on most healthy blood cells.
Gotcha.
So it was like a perfect target, you know?
So it was like finding a bullseye, but just on the cancer cells?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
So this discovery, it opened up the possibility of, like, attacking only the CD33 positive cells.
Wow.
Without hurting healthy tissue.
So that's what led to Gemtuzumab.
Exactly.
Wow.
The first trials were in the 1990s.
Okay.
And those early studies, they were really promising.
I can imagine the excitement around those early trials.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, this could really be a game changer.
Totally. And then it got approved in 2000.
Right.
Which was a huge moment.
We talked about the withdrawal and then the reapproval.
Yeah.
But what were the exact concerns that led to Gemtuzumab being pulled?
There were two main ones.
Okay.
First, some studies showed a higher risk of serious side effects, liver damage, and this rare thing called veno-occlusive disease.
Veno-occlusive disease?
Yeah, it's
what is that?
It's where veins in the liver get blocked.
Okay.
And that can damage the liver.
Wow, that sounds really serious.
It is very serious.
Okay, so that was one concern.
Right. And the other was whether it really improves survival in the long term. There was some uncertainty about that.
So it wasn't a clear-cut decision to pull it?
No, it was really tough.
Yeah.
Lots of things to consider.
Right.
But ultimately, they decided to withdraw it.
Okay.
While more research was done.
That must have been a difficult decision, given how promising it seemed.
Yeah, it was.
So what led to its reapproval then?
Well, scientists kept studying it, looking for ways to make it safer and more effective.
Right.
And they found that by changing the dose and how they gave it, and importantly, combining it with other chemo drugs, they could really reduce the side effects.
So it was about finding the right combination and approach.
Gotcha.
And these new studies, they showed clearly that Gemtuzumab, used this new way, could really save lives.
Wow. So it wasn't just promising anymore.
No.
It was actually saving lives.
It was. It became a real lifesaver.
That's incredible. It really shows that setbacks can lead to even greater advancements.
Yeah, absolutely.
So about those biosimilars again.
Yeah.
Why is Geni's Gemtuzumab biosimilar so important?
Biosimilars, they have the potential to really change healthcare.
How so?
Well, they're usually much more affordable than the original drugs.
Right.
So more people can get these life-saving treatments, especially in places where healthcare is expensive.
It's like leveling the playing field a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Geni's biosimilar, even though it's for research now, it could really speed up the development of even better CD33-targeted therapies.
So more research, more hope for patients and their families.
Exactly.
It's all connected.
It is. It's really great what they're doing. What other research is being done with Gemtuzumab?
Oh, there's a lot of exciting stuff.
Okay.
One thing is, they're developing even better ADCs.
Like next generation ADCs?
Yeah, like next generation.
Wow.
They're designed to be even more powerful, more precise, and hopefully less toxic.
So even better than Gemtuzumab?
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing.
Imagine ADCs, they can deliver higher doses of the cell-killing stuff, right, to the cancer cells, but without harming healthy tissue.
That would be incredible.
It would.
It's like we're miniaturizing the weapons against cancer.
It really is.
That's so cool. What else?
Another really promising area is combination therapies.
Okay.
Using Gemtuzumab with other cutting-edge treatments.
Like what?
Things like immune checkpoint inhibitors or even personalized cancer vaccines.
Oh, wow. Personalized cancer vaccines.
Yeah.
How do those work?
So basically, they train the patient's own immune system to recognize and destroy their specific cancer cells.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's like giving their immune system a personalized battle plan.
It's like science fiction.
Well, right?
But it's becoming reality.
It is.
That's incredible. But are there any drawbacks to this kind of targeted therapy?
Well, there are always challenges. One of the biggest is drug resistance.
Drug resistance?
Yeah, the cancer cells, they can adapt.
Oh, I see.
And they can find ways to resist the treatment.
Wow, so it's like a constant battle.
It is. It's a constant race.
Between scientists and cancer cells.
Exactly.
And the stakes are incredibly high.
They are, but we're learning more all the time. And we're developing new strategies to overcome resistance.
Okay, that's good.
An ongoing challenge.
It is. It's fascinating and a little scary.
It is.
To think about all this happening at a cellular level.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that researchers are working hard to stay ahead.
They are.
So before we move on,
okay,
let's recap what we've covered so far.
Sounds good.
We started by talking about how Gemtuzumab works.
How it targets CD33 on leukemia cells.
Right.
Then we talked about its development, the approval, the withdrawal, the comeback.
Right.
And we talked about how it's really making a difference in AML treatment.
Improving survival rates, remission outcomes.
Yeah, and we talked about the importance of biosimilars.
Making treatment accessible.
Right, like Geni's Gemtuzumab biosimilar.
It's a big step forward.
It is. It really is.
It's great to see that kind of progress.
It is. We also touched on the future of Gemtuzumab research. Next generation ADCs, combination therapies, personalized cancer vaccines.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It is. It's really exciting.
There's so much potential.
There is a lot of hope for the future of AML treatment.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this part of our conversation, I'm really struck by how Gemtuzumab's story is about more than just one drug or one disease.
Yeah, I agree.
It's about the pursuit of knowledge and the dedication to improving human health.
Absolutely.
It shows that even when there are setbacks,
innovation and determination can win.
That's a great point.
It's really inspiring.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. It sounds like Genie is doing amazing work. But I want to kind of rewind a bit. How did Gemtuzumab even come about? Like, what were some of the key moments in its development?
Well, it all started back in the 80s, actually, when scientists discovered CD33 and realized it could be a good target for AML therapy. They noticed this protein was all over leukemia cells, but not really on healthy blood cells, so it made it a great target for treatment.
So it was like they found a way to hit only the cancer cells?
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly what led to Gemtuzumab. The first clinical trials were in the 90s. Those early studies looked really promising.
Yeah, I bet there was so much excitement around those trials.
Oh, definitely. There was a feeling that this could really change everything. That led to its initial FDA approval in 2000, which was huge at the time.
Yeah, we talked about the withdrawal and reapproval, but what were the specific concerns that led to it being pulled from the market?
Well, there were two main concerns. Some studies showed a higher risk of some pretty serious side effects, things like liver damage. And there's this rare but really dangerous complication called veno-occlusive disease.
Veno-occlusive disease? What's that?
It's a condition where veins in the liver get blocked, and it can cause liver damage and other serious complications.
Oh, wow. That sounds really serious.
It is very serious. And then there were also questions about if Gemtuzumab actually improves survival rates overall. Like there was some uncertainty about how effective it really was long term.
So it wasn't a simple decision?
No, not at all. It was complex, a lot to consider. Ultimately, the company decided to pull it voluntarily while more research was being done.
It must have been a tough decision considering how promising it seemed at first. So what led to its eventual reapproval then?
Researchers kept at it. They kept studying Gemtuzumab, trying to find ways to improve its safety and make it work better. They figured out that adjusting the dosage and how it was given and combining it with other chemo drugs could really lower the risk of side effects.
So it was about finding the right mix, the right approach.
Exactly. And crucially, these new studies show that when used this way, Gemtuzumab could really improve survival rates for some AML patients. It wasn't just promising anymore. It was actually saving lives.
That's amazing. A good reminder that sometimes setbacks can lead to even bigger advances. We were talking about biosimilars before. Can you talk more about why Genie developing a Gemtuzumab biosimilar is so important?
Sure. Biosimilars can really change healthcare because they're usually way more affordable than the original drugs. So more people can access life-saving treatments, particularly in parts of the world where healthcare costs are a big problem.
Yeah, it's about making sure everyone has a fair chance, right?
Absolutely. And Genie's Gemtuzumab biosimilar, even though it's only for research right now, could really speed up the development of even better CD33-targeted therapies.
So more research, more hope for patients. It's all connected.
It really is.
What other research is being done with Gemtuzumab?
Well, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. One area is the development of even more advanced ADCs. Next generation ADCs that are more powerful and precise and hopefully with fewer side effects.
So even better than Gemtuzumab.
Exactly. Imagine ADCs that can deliver a higher dose of the stuff that kills cancer cells right to the source without harming healthy tissue.
Wow, that would be amazing. It's like we're creating tiny, super precise weapons to fight cancer.
It's pretty incredible. Another exciting area is combination therapy. Combining gemtuzumab with other cutting-edge treatments like immune checkpoint inhibitors or even personalized cancer vaccines.
Wow, personalized cancer vaccines, how do those work?
They train the patient's own immune system to recognize and attack their specific cancer cells. It's like creating a custom-made defense system against the cancer.
That's incredible, like science fiction come to life. But with all these amazing advancements, are there any downsides or challenges?
Well, yeah, there are always challenges. One of the biggest is drug resistance. You see, cancer cells are really good at adapting. They can find ways to avoid even the most targeted therapies.
So it's like a constant back and forth between researchers and cancer cells, right?
Yeah, it's an ongoing battle. But we're learning more and more, and we're coming up with new strategies to stay one step ahead.
That's good to hear. It's fascinating to think about everything happening at this tiny level. But it's reassuring to know researchers are always working to beat cancer. Before we wrap up this part, let's go over what we've discussed.
Sounds good.
We started with gemtuzumab's mechanism, how it targets CD33 on leukemia cells. Then we talked about its development, the approval, the withdrawal, the comeback story.
Right. And we highlighted how gemtuzumab is improving AML treatment, helping people live longer and better.
We talked about biosimilars, how they make treatment more accessible, like the one assay Genie developed, a big step forward.
Absolutely. It's all about making these treatments available to everyone who needs them.
Exactly. And we talked about some of the exciting things happening in research, next generation ADCs, combination therapies, personalized vaccines. It's a really hopeful time for AML treatment.
It is. There's so much potential for the future.
Definitely. As we finish this part of our conversation, I'm really impressed by how gemtuzumab's journey is about more than just the drug itself.
I agree.
It's about the pursuit of knowledge and the dedication to improving people's lives, even in the face of setbacks. It shows how innovation and determination can really make a difference. Gemtuzumab has really come a long way from its early days to the hurdles it faced and now its role in AML treatment. It's been quite a journey, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It shows just how far we've come in understanding cancer, like at a molecular level,
Right.
and how we're getting better at creating targeted treatments that exploit those weaknesses. But it also shows how complex it all is.
It's true. It's not just about scientific discoveries, right?
That's right.
It's about turning those discoveries into treatments that are safe and actually work for patients. And that often means dealing with unexpected challenges and changing our approach along the way.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to what I think is one of the big takeaways from gemtuzumab.
Okay.
The importance of not giving up, persistence and being able to adapt. Like the fact that researchers didn't abandon this drug when it hit those roadblocks,
Right.
that's pretty inspiring.
It really is. It shows how committed they were to finding better options for patients.
Yeah.
They knew gemtuzumab had limitations, but they also saw its potential, and they were determined to figure out how to use it safely and effectively.
Exactly. And that meant being willing to change their approach, try different dosages, different combos, and learn from everything, the good and the bad.
That's so important. Science isn't always a straight line, is it?
Nope.
From discovering to cure.
It's messy.
It's about testing things out, refining our understanding,
Yeah,
always looking for better ways to solve these complex problems.
absolutely. Another key takeaway is the importance of teamwork. Gemtuzumab shows how important it is for researchers, doctors, drug companies, regulators, everyone to work together.
For sure. Developing and approving a new drug, especially one as complicated as this,
Yeah,
it takes a lot of expertise from different areas.
it does.
It's about sharing what we know, the data, the resources,
Yeah,
and having open communication and respect for each other's expertise.
exactly. It's realizing that no one person or group has all the answers.
Right.
Progress comes from working together and learning from each other.
This makes me think about the future of targeted cancer therapies. Gemtuzumab has definitely opened doors.
It has.
But where do we go from here? What research and development are you most excited about?
There are a few things. One is developing even more advanced ADCs.
Yep.
Like we talked about before, researchers are working on next-generation ADCs
Yeah.
that are even more powerful and precise and maybe even less toxic than gemtuzumab.
Wow.
Imagine ADCs that can deliver even higher doses of the cancer-killing stuff directly to the cancer cells but without harming healthy tissue.
That would be a huge step forward.
It would. It's like we're building these tiny, incredibly precise weapons against cancer.
That's wild.
It is pretty remarkable. And besides just making the ADCs better, there's also a lot of potential in finding new ways to combine them with other cutting-edge treatments.
Like what?
Well, for example, combining Gemtuzumab or similar ADCs with immunotherapy.
Oh, right. Immunotherapy.
Yeah. That uses the power of the immune system to fight cancer.
Mm-hmm.
That could lead to even better responses and maybe even cures for some patients.
And personalized cancer vaccines, where do they fit in?
Personalized cancer vaccines are super exciting. The idea is to create a vaccine that's specifically designed for each patient's unique cancer cells.
Yeah.
It would basically teach their immune system how to find and destroy those specific cancer cells.
That's amazing. It's like giving the immune system a personalized set of instructions on how to fight the cancer.
Exactly.
That's incredible. It really does feel like science fiction becoming reality. The impact this could have on patients is huge. But I imagine there are challenges.
Oh, of course. With any new technology.
Like what?
Drug resistance is still a big one.
Right. We talked about that.
Yeah, cancer cells can evolve and figure out ways to avoid even the most targeted therapies.
Mm-hmm.
So researchers are always trying to understand how resistance works and develop new drugs or combination strategies to overcome it.
It's like a constant race, isn't it?
It is a race with really high stakes.
It is. But it sounds like we're making progress.
Oh, definitely. We're learning more every day, and the pace of innovation is incredible.
That's good to hear.
I'm confident we'll keep seeing major breakthroughs in the years to come. Breakthroughs that will change the lives of so many people affected by cancer.
This deep dive into Gemtuzumab has been so eye-opening.
I'm glad you think so.
It's giving us a look at not just the history of this drug, but the future of cancer treatment as a whole.
It has.
And it's given me a lot of hope for the future.
Me too. The progress we've seen with Gemtuzumab is a perfect example. Makes me really optimistic about the future.
Before we wrap up, anything else you'd like to add? Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I think the main thing is knowledge is power, right? The more we know about cancer and the treatments out there,
Yeah,
the better we can make decisions about our health and advocate for ourselves and the people we care about.
that's so important. And I'd add that hope is powerful too.
Absolutely.
The things we've talked about today show how incredible and dedicated researchers are all over the world.
They really are.
There's still work to do, but the future of cancer treatment is looking brighter than ever.
It is, for sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Gemtuzumab. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. And until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.